Hello, welcome to another episode of Tisci Tea, where we talk about ballroom topics, house issues, Tisci Tea, of course, and hot button issues that people are talking about currently. And today on this episode, we have the beautiful ones, Dream Tisci and Dom Tisci, otherwise known as Dr. Dom. So thank you guys so much for coming on and just conversing with us.
Thank you for having us, Nadia.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
This is going to be a blast. So let's get straight to it. Who came up with the concept and the idea of the zip ties, and how long did that take for each of you to create your
Ooh.
ensembles?
That was Giselle because it was originally it was like fresh off the Chanel ball. That I was like, I can't remember if they dropped the category after it or if it was shortly before it or something. But I remember thinking, I was like, oh my God, this is only two months away. If we're gonna do this, I want as much time as possible to work on it. So I reached out to Giselle. We went back and forth about like kind of creative directy things. And Pampers stepped in and helped with like who's gonna do what and like to make this happen. Um, and I think zip ties was Giselle's first idea off rip, which I was like, oh, that's really fab. And she sent like some pictures that just gave how like sculptured it could be. Um, and then from that point, we all actually, I think it's somebody asked me if we all went to the same designer. I don't remember who asked me, but I was like, no, I don't think any single one of us went to the same
I got
designer.
asked that a
Yeah.
lot.
So we all kind of ran with it once we had said this is what we're doing, and then we all came together and we like assigned colors based on what we wanted to do. Um, and then I feel like that happened in like that meeting was in like late September or something like that. And then yeah, and then I think a few weeks from there would have liked to get my stuff earlier, but isn't that always the case?
Yes, we definitely had a month like prior to actually like that's when we had finalized everything, like our look that we're gonna do. We had started ordering our materials and pieces and started reaching out to designers and things like that. So we literally had a month to pull everything off. And with that short time frame, I think that we did an absolutely amazing job. Especially going to different designers like around the country, that was extraordinary.
It was such
Okay,
a team
okay.
effort. Yeah.
Yes,
It's kind of fun to recount that part of it because,
it
like,
is.
people don't see any of that.
Yes, 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 and it's great to even hear the stories because I even remember even my time walking for Face. It's like we had those moments where everyone was like on time crunch and everyone was all together doing it, literally stitching or sewing or gluing, whatever, even going up onto the stage. It's like it's to that point where where you have team family bonding and stuff. But go
Yeah.
ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that's so crazy because literally at the ball, one of my zip ties that was holding my pants up came a loose, and somebody had to literally just take one off of me and kind of tie it back up. We were literally when I got to New York, I want to say one at 1 a.m. Saturday morning, and we were up until the time I landed, up until like 9 a.m. following up to the ball, zip tying all night. It was me, Giselle, Pampers, James, Peter, Ashley, like on her dress as well. So that was like it was a great bonding moment too. I will say that I enjoyed that atmosphere so much, like really getting to like know everybody on a different level because that was my first time actually being having everyone around me like that. So I just enjoyed every bit leading up to that moment.
So now going on to who are your top three inspos of walking Butch Queen face to you, or Femme Queen face, or GNC face as well.
I would say my top three Butch Queen faces, like my Mount Rushmore, would have to be Exotic is number one for me, Zarek number two, and Whitney are my top three Butch Queen faces. When it came down to Femme Queens, it was Shawnee's, Temperance, and Giselle.
My like the first house that I was in and that Dream was into, we were Supreme Montclairs back in the day a few years ago. Um, and I have always thought that something that Jason brings to the floor when he sells face, it's like there's such a confidence and almost like an aggression about it that is like I I love that, and I think it's so sharp too. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And because I typically am like a much softer person, so there's like a piece of that that I really aspire to. So he is up there for me. Giselle, of course. I want what she's got. Like just the that her it's just that she does it's like selling it is just it's just the looks, the like the subtle mesmerizing, just the subtle things in the body language that just look effortless. And I mean like only Giselle knows what goes into all that, like in her head. But that for sure. Um, to shout out a GNC face, I love what Rayante LaBeija brings to the floor. We just battled a couple weeks ago, and I really love that. And I think she's amazing for walking Butch Queen face, Drags face, and GNC face. And I really respect her a lot. And one of the people that was first bringing GNCs into ballroom in the current capacity, or the current iteration of that, within the last like 5-ish years. Yeah, I would say if I had like the three that off rip right now, but yeah, I like Exotic, Whitney, Shanice.
Also, to add to that, with Jason, honorable mention to Jason because that is my mother. I don't want to be biased or anything when I put her between things, but I love you, Mom. When you're watching this, you know you are my top because you taught me everything I know. Just to put that out there.
How long have you guys been walking Bush, well, face?
So also, my first house was also Supreme Montclair. I came in the ballroom in 2021, and my original category was Pretty Boy Realness, and I got chopped boots every single time I walked. Um, I started walking face literally like 4 months after that, so it's going on what 5 years now. I want to say, but I would say like now is like the time I've really like had like I want to say the Mugler ball was probably my biggest moment or my biggest ball that I ever walked.
I started walk. It's been like 3.5 years. I got into ballroom after like my first year of med school, so that was like it was like summer of 22. Um, and similarly, at first it took a sec to get my footing. Like, um, for like I think the first well, my first mainstream ball was GNC Face at New York Awards Ball, um, but then following that, I was encouraged to try Butch Queen Face as well, and there I got chopped boots. I had one good win that was really fun in like Nashville, but I was getting chopped, and I was like watching the clips, and I was like, I feel like it's because there's not a Butch bone in my body. Well, maybe one, but
Yeah.
like um, and it just did not translate. It was not natural. My body just doesn't like it just doesn't move that way. I just like I'm just I'm grounded in my femininity, and so that's typically I'd say for face it's like I think my influences are tend to be more the femme queens, um, but then I try to incorporate some of the things that I think Witch Queen Face has to offer, which I think are things that just any person can benefit from internalizing or trying to.
One person to pick. Who sells it the best?
Jason.
Giselle.
Now, as far as dating, what does love look like to you?
Well, I grew up in a house that was just like so bountifully, abundantly in your face type of love. It was like when people ask me like, "Oh, what's your love language?" And I'm like, I have like my top picks, but I don't think I'm like I feel like all of those things were like just all around me all the time. Um, like physical touch, like in my family, particularly the women and myself, like we do lots of like shoulder rubs and like just and it's hugs every time, and then words of affirmation. It's always being like, always finding like, I love this about you, and anything that you're going through, like, well, you're doing this part and that you're already, that already says XYZ about you. And like every phone call, like from growing up, was ended with like, okay, love you, bye, mwah, like that with every family member kind of thing. Um, and then, of course, acts of service, thoughtful gifts. But yeah, I really love like unabashed love, because it's like, from where I grew up, and what I personally think is like, it doesn't really cost me a thing to love so out loud and openly like that. Um, I think there's a part of me that is addicted to like not or addicted to when somebody isn't giving it up like that, and then it's like, oh, how do I get the things that I want? Like there's something about that is toxically appealing. Um, but yeah, I ultimately like go into everything like, it does not cost me anything to live or to love the way that I have learned to. And it's like, even if it all like goes to hell, it's like, I can look back and say, well, I'm proud of how I showed up. And I, probably wouldn't change anything about that, because then I would feel like I was like half-assing or something.
Love looks like, to me, it is a unconditional thing. It is an unconditional effort. It is an unconditional, feeling that you have for people that doesn't cost much. Like how Dom said, doesn't cost much at all. Even through hardships that you face with people, um, even with your loved ones, people around you, and just people in the world. Period. Effort, consistency, all of that is great thoughts of love to me, especially dealing with, I would say, a partner when going through the ups and the downs, and just loving them throughout all of that. Peaks and valleys is how I like to look at it. There, you're gonna have a lot of that, and with family as well. With me growing up, there were a lot of peaks and valleys with me and like my mom, because we didn't always see eye to eye, but some way, somehow, we always found some way to ground ourselves and finally go back to what we're about, and that's about love. That's how we grew up, and that's what I want to continue to share and just put out into the world with everyone that I come across.
I liked what she said about consistency, because that's another one of my one-liners. I love one-liners, and one of them to me is, love is as much a ritual as it is a feeling, because it's the consistency, the acts that add up to something, they're the things that get you through. I feel like the times, even when you're not like, oh, I'm not feeling lovey-dovey, but I'm still showing up for this person. I'm moving with intention, um, for them in some way. We grew up with lots of traditions. It was every birthday, like, was birthday breakfast. You got the little plate that said, you are special today. It's like all the
Same.
premeditation of
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that that is love to me.
Yeah. And do you find that difficult today in this age to even find that?
I think, I think like, if you well, I think for sure, like, your energy attracts either similar energy or energy that lacks something that you have. I think that's maybe the biggest problem I run into. I think is that, because like I said, I'm gonna love the way I love, be the way I am. Kind of, maybe not regardless of what I'm getting back, but I think that's something that, but it's a lot of healing that needs to happen in the world, and that's not to say that I'm like just a healing presence inherently, but I think that sometimes it's, you run into different levels of healing and different levels of security with the kind of love that you're willing to be vulnerable with.
Do you think that social media hindered, helped in a good or bad way to date?
From a person who, I've really only been in, I would say, one real relationship that I would consider that I truly loved someone. I was 18, fresh out of high school. I had moved to Atlanta with to a person that I thought was the love of my life. And even throughout all of the hardships and challenges, I found myself still loving them oh so much. And I think that now the way that social media has gone, we are kind of going into like a hole because it just seems like, you just never know like who's really authentic and who's like, you know, in your corner when it comes to that because everything is just so surface level how I see it. Like there are so many relationships that are built off of that on social media, and you see a person, and you finally get what you thought that you wanted, and it's something completely different, and that kind of just like deteriorates so many relationships, and it does not have to be that way at all.
To me, I just think that love is just so I think it finds it so difficult because I grew up with my foundation being love with my family. My family, that's what I know. That's what it was embedded into us, me and my siblings. So when you go into the real world, you realize that it's not like that. And then
Yeah.
you grow up and then you realize the social network is changing, right? You have social media being dived into people's connections with each other. And with saying that, do you guys think that people give up on love and dating and interest with people quickly because of social media, or is it something that they just are not, they're okay with setting their boundaries and not accepting anything?
I love this question because I feel like it's a little bit of both, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, I think now in this day and age, and being in my generation and stuff, I'm kind of seeing everything hands on, especially because I'm living in it. I feel like a lot of people kind of think that they have so many options being on social media when that's not really necessarily the case. And also people do kind of value themselves and set those clear boundaries with people, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, I do feel like some people do kind of give up too easily, or that they don't put in enough effort to kind of get to know someone, especially in different capacities. I always say when you never know how much you love someone until you see them in all four seasons, in all different areas of their life. How are they? How do they operate in different times when they're going through stuff, and some people just give up when they see that when they get to that part. So it gets kind of rough. It gets very rough.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say similarly that it makes people, it's there's always like someone else in your face in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just like in your feed or if it's someone that you have connected with online. It's I think distracting in that way. And if it seems like, something new is always available to like our brains are wired for new and exciting. Um, so if that's always like available in some capacity, you might not get through the parts where you're like, oh, like maybe I'm a little bored with this person, or maybe, oh, they did one thing that I didn't like for 2 seconds. And I feel like before, well, maybe before social media, there was like, more incentive or less options about like, oh, if you have that feeling for a day or a few minutes or whatever, you kind of just get through it and then maybe circle back and say, oh, well, that doesn't mean like I want to stop pursuing this, or I don't want to like have this conversation. So I think the environment of like there's always something new in your face maybe has kind of eroded like our capacity or desire to kind of get through very human moments with another person. Not to say that that's universal. I try really hard to not demonize social media altogether because I think there's so much good that has come with it, and then if you're moving with it through it, with intention, I think you can still, it's about like, oh, how do my actions reflect my values? But I do think that on a like a larger scale or like community or population scale, there's just bound to be an effective. Like there's always something new and more exciting just by virtue of being new in my face. And sometimes it's like if I feel bad, I want something that's gonna make me feel good, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. What is everyone's love language?
My love language, I would say acts of service at being my number one.
Mm,
My number one. Um,
okay.
just showing me, that how much you appreciate, how much you love, and just like how I said before, the effort that you put in goes a long way for me. I used to be really big on physical touch, not so much anymore. I'm not sure, like I can't really explain the space that I'm in right now to really go deeper into that. Um, as a person who has had their heart broken before, it kind of made me a little sour. But I had to really just fight through those emotions and really like find within myself, like I had to say to myself like you are enough, because going through my last situation I really felt that I wasn't. And I will say part of it was social media, which is why I say like
Mm.
it's very difficult meeting someone on social media. You think it's something that you want and it turns out to be the complete opposite, and you are in a like a gag factor at that point. So personally, I would say acts of service. Like show me, like show up, reassure me of this, because it's
Like,
also
give me an example of acts of service, because some people think acts of service could be this way, but then it really isn't. So, like, what would be your acts of service? Because there's that gifts. Is that what does that look like?
it doesn't always have to be gifts. Gifts are nice though, but it doesn't always have to be that. For me, it's just like showing up, like just off the strength of like I didn't ask you like to do something for me, but you did it anyway. Um, Also like just thinking of me, I would say thinking of me in ways that I didn't think about for myself, like even giving me that motivation or that push sometimes where I feel like I'm lacking, and when you can pick that up for me, that's a great thing for me.
I heard words of affirmation and time, quality time. So,
Quality
you
time.
know what I'm saying? So
Quality time, yeah.
yeah. So what is but which one would you think? Because now that's three. It's like it's
I know.
words of affirmation, quality time, and then an acts of service. Like that's what I was saying. Like, what does acts of service mean? Because a lot of people are very like, it's a different it's a different, it looks different, and I don't. People can't really give me an example of what acts of service is. Like, what would you think acts of service is, Dom?
Fun. I feel like I think of something like running an errand or like picking someone up for someone. I was like, I will say like it's not my number one, but like when someone truly does an act of service, that's like the most gag factor to me because I'm just like I've always been so independent and just like life sometimes feels easier with like moving that like oh I can do it all myself. I no, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do it. But and someone is like no, I'll do that for you. And then they actually do it. I'm kind of like well, you ate that. Like that was really nice. So
Right.
I
Consider
think
me.
of yeah,
Like if you're sick and they bring you something to eat to nourish your
Yeah.
body to make you feel
yeah,
well. Like to me those are acts of service. So
yeah.
would that be something that you were talking about, or would you say like words of affirmation is more important, or time, quality time is more important to you? Dream.
I do enjoy quality time, but I will say, piggybacking off of what Dom said, yes, it's the consideration that does
Mhm.
it for me. Being considerate can literally make someone's day, because it has made mine before. Like
Mhm.
how we said, just doing things without being asked. Like I, been in spaces where I did not think that a person would show up for me in this way when I did not ask them to, and when they did, I was like, oh, okay. And sometimes they act surprised when it's like, I'm not gagging at you necessarily, but it's just like, just the thought of it all. Like, I just so appreciate it.
Okay, now Dom, what is your love language?
And let me clarify, is that about how I like to receive or how I give love?
Good question. Good question. Let's go with how would you like to receive love?
The thing that feels the most like get really gets me is like acts of service. Because it's like you took your time and your energy to do something on my behalf, and it's like that's a way that I like to show up for people. Like, oh, if I'm, if we're gonna hang out and I'm like, oh, I'm running to grab this, what are your favorite snacks, like I feel like that can be an act of service, and like I'm gonna pick up those things. And or like, oh, you're flying in, like I'll get you at the airport. Like those are things that I think require that like go out of the way factor that I like to do for people, feels very natural, but something about receiving it is almost like, oh my God, like I'm worthy of like your intentional time and effort and perhaps resources. So I think that, and honestly, I think at this big age, I think that I'm realizing more that is what I do need and look for in a partner, even though I think up until this point, maybe not up until this point, but like recent-ish history, it's like I want to make myself into like in some way, shape, or form like an ideal partner that doesn't need anything from you. Like it's so easy to be with me, but it's like, oh no, I'm a person with needs that benefits from a little help here and there, and you know, those are big parts of like a grown connection. And that to me is like what family does. And like ultimately in a partner, you're looking for like in many ways your closest family member, or the one that's like, if you're like living together, if that's your model of whatever, or if you're married, or if you're like parent raising children, that's what I would look for, is like someone's ability to do it together. And I think that comes down to service.
Mine's, I would say, is, well, I know it's gifts. And when I say it, people are like, girl, like, like, it's just like, okay, girl, you're just a,
No.
Gifts are
you
nice.
know,
Gifts are nice.
but that's what I'm saying. Mine's are gifts, and people automatically think like, oh, you just want these expense. No, because sometimes the smallest gifts aren't even something that you could probably give in the get in the store. It's something that you know that I like it's something, if you make it, like it could be something that maybe you even, it could be anything that you see in CVS or Walgreens. It's like, or like even like a candy, something that I like. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
you paid attention. Because you paid attention. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things. It's like, oh, you're actually listening to me. You're
You
paying attention to
remembered.
me. Like
Yes.
you
Yeah.
remember. Because ultimately, you're gonna have to see me to give me the gift. So it's like, that's already, you're going to spend time with me. You're going to, you know what I'm saying? So, we're going to talk about this gift because, okay, we're going to communicate. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, obviously I'm going to tell you that I love it and thank you and everything. So it's just, I I I get a lot of slack when people ask me that question and saying like, "Oh, why would you choose gifts?" Like it just makes it look it sounds so bad, but realistically, I have to break it down in a way of like, "No, no, 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 it's not like that." So would you guys get turned off if somebody said gifts right away or no?
Absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
It's the small
No.
things. I mean,
It is.
it's the small things. I appreciate it.
Are you guys ready for love though? Are you guys ready for that? Are you guys ready to have someone in your life to love you unconditionally? Are you in a space to receive that? Are you in a space to say, you know what? I am in a position in my life that I can accept all of you to give you all of me.
If I'm being so for real, like at this current moment, no. I
Yeah,
I was like, I think
same.
okay, yeah. I was like, there are some things that I gotta work out with me. Um, I feel like, I'm in a place where like, oh, in my life, like outside looking in, like sure, and I'm like, I have maybe some of the milestones that I imagined like growing up or in my early 20s, that I would say, oh yeah, I'm ready for it. But I think that for me, there are still some things with my relationship to myself and how I like the kind of intention I move with to myself, that that needs working out before I'm really ready to receive. Because I'm like, it's easy for me to, for some reason, it's very easy for me to like to give all or almost all and like lots of effort, like very visible effort, but it's the having the groundedness in myself to even know what it would be to receive or be comfortable enough being vulnerable enough for someone to pick up what it is that I'm needing or would like to receive.
At this very moment, no. Absolutely not. First and foremost, this journey of life and finding myself has been very, very interesting. I have come a very, very long way with just, being comfortable with myself and just allowing myself the grace to really like, fuck up and just like, just start over again and really center myself. As a person who used to crave love from someone and I used to really like yearn for a relationship, I am so happy that I am in a space to where I do not need it right now. Being the 23-year-old that I am so happy that I have come so far with myself and just me as a person, how I show up for other people, and being able to receive love from others. Because, like I said before, my last relationship kind of made me very, very sour. And I don't want to be that person going into something else and, kind of bleeding off the traumas that I've experienced onto somebody else that does not deserve that because I've done that before. And it's just not fair to that person. So as of right now, no, but I am honestly a work in progress.
So, what are your guys' red flags? And
Ooh.
everyone that's watching this video, let me know your guys' answers to the questions that I asked down in the comments as well, because I want to hear what you guys have to say, as well as everyone's going to see if they have the same answer as you as well. So, yeah, what is your guys' red flags?
I would say for me, my biggest red flag, like especially like in the beginning stages of meeting somebody, would have to be love bombing.
Oh,
I
oof. Yeah,
I
that's bad.
absolutely hate it because love bombing is what got me into my past situations and just
Oh,
the sweet nothings and all the broken promises being put into my head, and nothing was the same or nothing like the patterns changed going, along with that. So love bombing is my number one red flag. Once I see that, it's like an instant like, eh.
the question is, what is your red flag? Not what you
Oh,
don't like about somebody else's red flag.
I'm
That's what I'm
screaming.
saying. People always are like, yeah, I hate when they do this, and I'm like, no, 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 because at the end of the
My
day,
red
it
flag.
because
Oh,
at the end of the day, we all aren't perfect. We all
yeah.
learn. We all grow. We all experience things, and we take something that we can be a better person for the next chapter in our lives. So again, what is your red flag?
No, no, no. I was like, you can go to my sister for a
I was gonna
second.
say you go. No, I was gonna say Nadia go first.
Okay, cool. So I'll go first then. So my red flag, and I'll be honest and I'll be truthful about it. I have zero, literally zero patience. I don't know what it is. I just can't. I do not have patience. Maybe I got this from my mom, a Latino woman that literally, yeah. And I'm kind of a control freak a little bit, a lot of it. I do that. So those are my red flags. Personally, I just have no patience, and I need to work on that because yeah, it can be a bad thing. It is a bad thing. Those are my red flags.
I would have to say, based off of like my patterns, and even from like just talking to my friends and just them seeing me in situations, I would say self sabotage has been like my
Mm.
main red flag. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll go
Explain.
into
Give me an example.
okay, so I'll go into a situation right with someone, and me just being the pessimistic person that I am, I'll think that everything is like gonna go wrong, and I'll think of so many
Mm-hmm.
scenarios that this person is like shitty or like they're not gonna treat me right or whatnot, and I'll put myself in positions to where like I'll make them, kind of, ease off of me in a bit. And when I see that they're not doing it so easily, I get like a little scared because it's like, are you really here to love me, or like, do I need to really like have my guard up? So self sabotage has been like my biggest thing. Like, no shade.
Okay, that's a good answer, and thank you for being vulnerable. Go ahead, tell us your red flag.
I think it's that particular, I mean, this is part of the red flag, like particularly in the beginning, but I very much like don't want to come off as having any vulnerabilities. I
Mm,
think there's a part of me that like I think out of like a protection mechanism, no one wants rejection type of thing. It's like I maybe will perform the like highest version of myself that it's like, oh, I think this is what it would look like if I were over these things kind of thing, rather um than perhaps presenting like where I am truly moment to moment. So that's like something that I've worked on a lot in my adult life, is even like feeling my feelings. Like I have done a lot of life like trying to say, well, that doesn't, my feelings on this don't change XYZ, so I'm going to move as if they're not there. um, and that's something I work on and I've gotten a lot better on, but I think that my natural tendency is still to perform like an invulnerable version of myself.
is that for your protection? Is that for something that is just like, okay, well, you want it to go in a great way, but you're just kind of protecting yourself in that way? But by doing that, do you think you block your blessings?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is why I'm working on it, because it is a protection thing, but then it's like, oh, in the same breath I can be like, oh, it doesn't cost me anything, and if things go left, then I've always got me, and that's good enough. So the dissonance is definitely there with it.
I can probably say I've ran away quite a few good people just being, the self sabotaging person that I am on myself and just being really hard on myself. Like, I've always been in so many positions to where like it's hard to give myself grace. Like, that's been like one of my main things. Just giving myself grace has been a really big challenge. So I'm working on that actively.
Now, one person you're attracted to in the ballroom scene. Go
Oh
ahead,
Lord.
baby. Who gives you the butterflies? Who gives you, oh yeah, yeah,
Because I was gonna say
I'll
there
take
are
that.
maybe a few garçons that
I was actually good.
goes
No,
for.
now that's when you said butterflies, that did it for me. Wolkoff Garcon, fine as hell.
Wilcock Garcon.
I think that's it. Wolkoff, right?
Oh, Wilcock. Okay, okay,
Yeah. The
okay,
That's
split screen
crazy.
face in Paris,
okay.
beautiful. When I see him, I'm like,
Beautiful.
okay,
Okay.
absolutely.
I would say for me, he's also a garçon would be Laraya.
Lariah. You know what? Somebody else in another episode has also said that person's name.
Oh my god.
Lariah, you kind of hot over here, baby.
I'm dead.
What do you think that's different from ballroom face back in the day to present time? What is different to you?
I would say from what I've studied over the years, and this is no shade to
Mm-hmm.
anybody at all, I just truly feel like back in the day, the girls were just so much more hungry when it came down to face. Like there was not many people that you saw on the runway that did not have face. In my honest opinion, today I feel like everybody wants to walk face and that's totally okay, but I just feel like a lot of house members should kind of hold their members accountable. It's like, well, you're just not the category, and that's perfectly fine. But, some people just want to go out there and, just do their thing, and that's fine too. But I don't think that would have flown back in the day, though.
I would echo that, and I think there's a little bit of a maybe not there's room, not maybe not like there's room for everybody kind of thing, but I think it's a category that was not built to be that. And I think I yeah, so I'll say I echo that sentiment for sure. And I would say on like a in a general sense, the and maybe it's perhaps because I think like face is such a hot category right now versus historically. Like there was a while where it was runway, and now face is kind of the thing. I think the production value and the hype and social media has taken it to such a different place, um, where I would say it's like it's still about the same things at the end of the day, but the the story, the effect, all these things around it, when perhaps there were times when it really boiled down to it's this what's in front of you and then how you're selling it. Um, so and you know I don't know that that's inherently like a bad thing. I wouldn't say that, but it's perhaps become evolved or you know kind of bubbled into this huge. I mean, I think that's ultimately what's made it like the phenom that it is today. And so it's just something different than what it was.
What would you guys like? What do you guys think? A person that has face but can't sell it, or would you guys like a person that can sell the shoes off your feet, but don't have that much face?
I would take my chances with a person that does have face, that has, a little challenge with selling it, because, you can always work with someone. People can always learn and pick up on new things, even if it's not the best. But if the mug is sitting, the mug is just sitting. I'm sorry. It's just not debatable at all. So I'm going to take the person that actually has the carton, actually has the mug, versus, and kudos to the person that can sell the shit out of their face, even if they don't have it. But for me, I'm gonna take the mug.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm like I feel like particularly in the beginning, you know, I still have work to do on myself. Always ways I want to elevate too. But even just like seeing it's like the wow factor that I feel like is such a part of face and just like and it's like somebody told me this one time it was like you can see a face girl from down the street. Like you can just tell when someone's got it. And there's something exciting about that because it's you can see it from the back of the runway. And then it's like everything that comes after it is just it's just different and there's like an atmosphere that comes with it versus like oh do they got it and then they might sell the shit out of me you're like oh bitch I'm entertained but I think like for me sitting on a panel I'm probably and I'm probably always gonna pick the one that I think is sitting.
So now, if money, time, and consequences weren't a factor and it didn't matter in your life, what exactly would you be doing?
I think about this a lot because I'm like, oh, in my head, I'm like, oh, there were very different versions of my life where maybe I was a singer or a professional pianist or a clarinetist, or I was a sound engineer or a dancer. There are all these different things that I could envision myself if certain things in life had like gone different ways, but I always land on I think that this is the best version of my life of all of those. Like that's something I entertain. Like I feel like I was called to be a psychiatrist and like have the experiences that I've had and I love what I do. Like I mean like sure I get bummed about like long hours and like getting up early because I'm not a morning person, but ultimately like when I'm in front of patients, so this is speaking professionally, like when I'm in front of patients, like am energized and it's like I feel like I'm using all the like tools, embodied knowledge that I've developed over a lifetime and like putting that in service of the person in front of me. And that's, I think I'm just very blessed that that's how I get to feel like when I'm going to work. Um, I would, if I, you know, if nothing was, if it was time, resources, everything was abundant, I would travel more for sure. Um, I would probably like I took a ballet class like once as like an adult, and I would love to like do that some more. But again, it's kind of like how am I prioritizing my time? Yeah. Oh, another version of that, I did say singer, but I could see like I could see like opera singing.
From a person who has wanted to do so much, from a sound engineer, being a producer, modeling, acting, traveling the world. I've always had a very, very strong passion for music. I just love music. With actually listening to I've actually visited many studio sessions and like actually had like one-on-ones with producers where like listening to certain beats and just having a certain type of ear has always been my thing, and like creative direction as well when it came down to like videos and stuff like that. Being like a human muse when it came down to modeling, just being in front of a camera, I would say, and just being in the arts. Um, and also just entertaining. I would also say just being a person that can make people laugh. When people look at me, like like they can remember me by being something that was impactful. Whether I find out what area that was specifically. Um, so yeah, I would also actually pursuing modeling. I've have my endeavors with that. That's had its peaks and valleys as well. So if circumstances weren't a thing, I would have been on America's Next Top Model somewhere.
Do you guys like, love, hate, open to all categories?
Whew. Short answer, yes. The short answer is yes.
Yes, what? Like, love,
The
like,
short
love or
answer,
hate?
I hate it. I hate it. I don't like
You
it.
hate it.
I don't.
Okay.
I just personally believe
Okay.
that butch queens should not be battling femme queens, and that kind of thing. I've always felt like that, even though it creates a hot battle sometimes. For myself, I don't like it. I've battled femme queens, I've sat femme queens, I've been sat back femme queens, and it's not as exhilarating for me versus battling a butch queen like myself, but it's still a great art to see. It's great to see two beautiful people stand before you, and just that's so captivating, and you're able to sell features about their face. So I don't really, I'm not on the side of liking OTA categories.
I will say this. I think that when I see like an OTA face category, I kind of jump at it because I feel like just with my face category, it's new enough that there it's not like you don't get the same kind of like rigor of battles and number of people that you do in like femme queen phase or butch queen phase. So I like it for the opportunity to like try to prove myself as a face of ballroom, and not like on the in the same way that I think femme queens and butch queens have that opportunity to like say like there's just that level of competition. So I enjoy that about it. Um, I think like ideally, I think I'm on the same wave of like if it's different things that are being compared, and sometimes like I'd say like a butch queen and femme queen face might be kind of apples oranges, but there's enough overlap that I love to see it, and it's fun. So I think personally I like it just because of where my category's at. But I also I share the sentiment as Dream.
Do you guys agree with the statement femme queen should never lose against any butch queen or non-binary person?
I've heard this question and had this conversation a lot. I don't think so. I think it should be very fair. Very fair. Even though Ballroom was kind of built around femme queens, and I absolutely love that. And I love when femme queens get their life, and they're highlighted in different areas. I do still think that there should be a certain level of fairness, without any like politicking or anything like that. To say that a film queen should never lose, people have their different beliefs behind that, but I personally feel like that should not be the case. If the person is just sitting, they're just sitting. If the person is just voguing down, they're just voguing down, no matter what they are, in my honest opinion.
If we're gonna have open to all face, then I think that that doesn't make sense, like as a rule. Um, but I also I get that too. I mean, like it was built for and around the femme queens, and I mean, there've been like several times where I was like last battle with a femme queen, and it goes to the femme queen, and I'm always like, it is such like an honor and a privilege to lose to you, so beautiful. Like it's never any hard feelings, but I've like come off and be like, was she really outselling me or this or that? And sometimes the answer is just it's just femme queen factor, or you're still new, that kind of thing. Um, so it's something that I'm like, if we're gonna have open to all, then I don't think that should be a rule or a statement that is always true. Um, but I get it too.
What is one ball that you lost that know you should not have?
Okay, so the coldest winter ever. I believe it was 2022. I walked that ball. It called for t-shirt and jeans and a bubble coat. I did just that, and I got chopped that night. One of the judges kind of pointed to my face and tried to say that I had like a bump or something, and there was no bumps. There's no shade like at all. There was nothing there, but I just took the chop gracefully. But I just personally feel like that was just like crazy or whatnot. Even like I can hear the gag factors in like the backgrounds, like, huh? So it was just like, bitch, whatever.
I'm gonna say a reasonable glare ball as a house, but other than beyond beyond that, um, I think for me, coldest winter ever, 2024. I was like, oh my, I love that effect so much to this day. I was like, I love that shit. I I think that it was again a situation where it was losing to a female figure, and I can't remember her name. But I thought that should have been mine, based on like what the category called for, what I was given, and the response to what I brought.
What was your guys' most expensive effect
Ooh.
walking a ball?
It was Labor Day weekend for the $10,000 in Atlanta. When like the panel had got maced that night. You guys remember that?
You were there?
I was outside sitting in my
Oh,
U-Haul truck that I had drove all the way from
stop.
Chicago, bitch.
Oh,
I
so
was
stop.
redoing Dee Dee's Birdcage moment because it had called to recreate a film queen moment. I had that. I had, all of these different things, and I was just pulling stuff, and so for that to happen, I probably spent close to $10,000 getting all of that together because I
Oh!
had started months prior. I started months prior with booking everything, the U-Haul, the truck. I got the birdcage built. The effect was like 2,000 itself. So all of that just went completely in vain, and I was just like, bitch, I will never walk a ball again.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes you want to do
Yes,
that.
I
That's
was angry the
crazy.
whole ride back home.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
Oh my god. Oh gosh, I would be fucking livid. But Dom, what was your most expensive ensemble?
Most expensive was Chanel Ball this year. Um, that that dress piece of like the whole effect part of the body, that was like 2,500. And then here's the thing that people have to understand, like I have a men's size 14 shoe, so when I find a good shoe, it's like it's never cheap. And so this is like, I somehow found this like heelless platform in like a women's 15. I was like, I can squeeze. It was not cheap. And it was a fab shoe, but then I had to like spray paint it and do all this stuff to it to like make it make sense with the ensemble. um so it was that, and then I made that headpiece. That was not expensive to make. But and then like, makeup and hair and all that. So I think that was probably the one I have spent the most on. And then of course you factor in travel and fucking everything else that goes into it. So, and that I don't think that was a cheap ball to get into either.
Do you guys think prices of balls entry is getting outrageously too high?
Yes. With the economy that we are in right now, it's kind of understandable. But when you get down to like all of the entities and stuff that come like with the ball that you're paying for, it's like, is this really worth it? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, I can I see like a drawing board of like what am I paying for? Like, so it's like a yes and no question for me. It really depends.
I'm gonna say I'm not sure I understand where it's going because I'm like, there's part of me that's like, oh, if the prizes are this much and all that, that sure maybe, but then it's like, if all the money has to be in place beforehand, it's not like any of the money from the function goes to the prizes. So I'm kind of like, where does it go? Not that I'm sure it goes places. I just don't know. And I mean, I'm never not gonna pay it if I'm trying to be there. But yeah, I guess inflation. I don't know, but it does. The ones that are like 80, 100, that I'm kind of like, for real. Like I'm like a 60. I'm like okay, but yeah, when it gets like above 70, I'm like whoa.
We definitely talked about a lot of things today. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversations with you.
Yeah,
Did you guys enjoy your guys' time?
I absolutely did.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks for
yes, yes, yes. Yes, thank you guys so much for coming on to the Tisci T YouTube channel for the House of Tisci, sharing your guys' thoughts and opinions about everything. And all of their social medias are going to be listed down in the description as well. And you guys can find me over on my YouTube channel, Valerie_Vision. And you guys, please give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and share this video on all your social media platforms. And make sure you guys stay tuned into these beautiful people on the screen at the next ball near you, especially for a grand prize category, because they're about to take it.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. That is it for this episode. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Here for